Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite cake girl, Adeola Onicake. Today on the channel, I'm going to be showing you how to make this gorgeous two-tier wood steam wedding cake. If this is something that interests you, definitely keep watching and make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notification bell. First thing you need to do is to trim your cakes. You're going to tot it, layer it, and trim it. If you want to see a detailed video of how I trim my cakes, you need to watch my last tutorial and I'm going to link it up there. So next, I'm going to do the crumb coat. I just add a little buttercream to my crumbs and then do the crumb coat and then buttercream my cake. This is how you dance if you have a very beautiful cake waiting to be covered in fondant. Guys, make sure to give me a thumb up if you enjoyed this video. So next, I'm going to roll my fondant. I'm using the paneling method to cover my cake, so I'm going to roll my fondant just in that same paneling method, paneling way. I made my fondant into like a sausage and then I roll it forward and sideways until I get the desired size that I want. I work with a ruler and tape rule to get the measurements to be what I actually want, and then I'm going to go ahead to use it on my cake. So just keep going back and forth, and then I have my fondant exactly the size that I want it to be. Now I'm going to roll the one for the top. I just roll it slightly and I have it as well to be as wide as I want it, wide enough to cover the top of my cake. My cakes are 11 inches and 6 inches, and I'm just going to follow that and leave just a little extra on the sides of my round fondant. Just a little extra is what I would leave. Next, I'm going to grab my smoother and smoothing my fondant very well. This step I do not miss because it makes me have a very smooth fondant to cover my cake with. I'm using my smoothers, gem smoothers from GP Cake Supplies. You guys check out GP Cake Supplies for all your unique and affordable cake tools. So now I bring out my cake and then I cover the top like so. So I cover the top. I use my smoother again to press it down and make sure that it stays, and then I turn my cake over, flip it over and put a little water at the edge to form like a glue, and then I wrap my other fondant around it and cut out the excess. Paneling method is also called top and bottom method. This is because you cover the top and then cover the sides, top and side rather. It's also called top and side method. So I'm just going to use my smoother to fix everything like so. Make sure that my cake is neat, and then I'm going to smoothen out the fondant. Doing this is very important. If you're working with fondant cake, do this because it is very, very important. And next, I cut out the excess behind it. I try to smoothen it to get rid of the seam lines like so. I put a little corn flour there, and then I use my smoother to smoothen it so that that seam line, that line where I joined two fondants together, can be less visible or completely invisible. So I'm just going to do that. Then next, I'm going to use my smoother to gently push the edges of my cake downwards to form the sharp edge. Once I've done this, I'm going to trim out the edge of the cake. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to remove the fondant that I will be cutting out at the edge, and then I take down my same smoother and smoothing to the edge to sharpen it so that when I flip the cake, it's going to have very sharp edges. I'll leave you now to enjoy the video. I'll stop talking so that you just watch and learn. Now that I've pushed my fondant thinly to the edge, I'm just going to cut it like I'm doing with a very sharp craft knife, and make sure that my hand is straight. I'm just going to cut it like batch by batch so that I can have a neat and sharp cut, and then by the time I flip the cake, I would have my very sharp edges. Just watch this video and see when I flip, you will see the sharp edges that can cut anybody's hands. However, I still go ahead to use my flex smoother to enhance the sharpness of the edges. Enjoy. All this liquor has got me feeling no way. Now I'm looking at you Tada! Look at how sharp it is. However, it is not so sharp like I want. So I would smoothen the sides. Smoothing the sides is very important, guys. Very, very important. And I have that dent over there, but not to worry, it's gonna be fixed. Okay, so I go with my flex smoother and then sharpen the edges further, but then I smoothen the sides. See, fondant smoother is very important, especially this gem smoother. It is very important, very, very important. It comes as a pair and it goes to work done every single time. So I use flex smoother to do that. Let me show you guys. I dust a little corn flour on my flex smoother, put it on the side of the cake, and I just gently push my fondant towards it. That's all, that's it. You're going to see how it's going to leave me with very sharp edges on my cake, and as I do that, I make sure to smoothen the sides of my cake as I go. I don't wanna fall in love. I don't wanna fall in. I don't wanna fall in. You can have attention, don't ask to know this isn't forever. I think you can see the intentionality with which I'm smoothing the sides of my cake, and you can as well see how sharp my edges are now. If there's one thing you take from this video, take that you're smoothing your cakes well. So I move on to the bigger cake. I have rolled out my fondant just like I did for the other cake, and then I smoothen it out as well. And then I move on also to roll the one for the top, and then I'm going to apply my embosser. Just keep watching. I don't wanna fall in love. So this is my embosser mat, my wood effect embosser mat. I love the effect that this embosser gives my fondant. Another way you can do the embossing is to do it freehand. Just use your hands to draw like wood effects, or you use the other plastic embosser, or if you have a rolling pin embosser, you use it as well. But this mat just does the work perfectly, and I got the mat from GP Cake Supply. So I just place my mat on my fondant and I gently roll it out. You need to be careful with the rolling so that your mat doesn't keep moving and giving you multiple embossing, you get. So I just keep embossing on different parts. I slightly check, I see that the embossing has showed very well, and then I move to the other side, do the same thing, and I have my my fondant perfectly embossed. So it's perfect to do the embossing while the fondant is on the table, other than putting the mat on the side of the cake and then trying to emboss it, you get. I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in love. While the one for the side is perfectly embossed and ready, I'll quickly go to the one for the top. I roll the fondant out quickly, smoothen it, and also use the embosser and emboss on the top fondant as well. Just like I did before, I'm going to cover my cake using the paneling method, just as I've rolled my fondants, right? But in this case, I'll trim the top fondants, I'll trim off the excesses for the top fondants, and attach the one for the sides without flipping the cake. This is so that I don't spoil the embossing that I've done in a bit to smoothing or give it sharp edge. I just place it by the side and basically just make them stick together. That's all. I'm not aiming for any serious sharp edge. However, I'm still going to get sharp edge. So I'm just going to use my flex smoother again to further enhance the sticking of the fondants to the sides and then the sharp edge. I don't know if I've mentioned this in this video, but I always spray water on my buttercream cake to attach the fondant, so that makes my fondant to stick, because the buttercream might have become dry. So I just brush it with water or spray with water. I always work with spray. I just spray with water and then stick my fondant. I use the spray that you can see in this video. That's what I use. I just spray Apparently maybe that part that was not sticking, the water didn't touch it very well, so I just had to spray it, right? So that's it. And then I smoothen and make sure that my cake sticks to the side of my fondant, sticks to the side of the cake very well. And then I'm going to cut out the excess, like you can see me do. Just watch closely, you'll see the way I cut out the excess fondant.
We can go through with this, then go back to being the same. To love and hold us over it, we are it together. Nothing lasts so well, waste time on emotion. It only takes and takes, don't make that mistake. Just hold on to your heart.
So I open up that part that I've cut and I remove the fondant behind, and then I use my brush to apply just little water to the edges so that it is sticky, and then I'll gently make the two ends meet each other so that they stick perfectly, and then I'll go with my smoother and smoothing that out very well. Now remember that I'm not flipping this cake because of the embossing we have on it, so I just trim off the excesses on the top and I use my flex smoother, like I said, to sharpen it further gently, making sure that my embossing is not smoothing out. Do you get? I just do it gently.
I'll be falling for you, but this is still.
My cake is done and dusted and ready. Can you peep the sharp edges? Look at that. Look at that beauty. Look at that embossing. That mat is just the best. If you're looking to make this design, just get that mat and it makes your work easy. So next I move on to the board of the cake. I already pre-covered the board and set it aside to dry so that I can paint it. So the paint is also brown. I'm painting it in brown color, so I got my edible spirits with brown color, orange color, red color for the wood effect, and that one is for the sides of the main cake, but for the board it's just going to be brown. And then I paint it in one direction. Like when you're painting, you don't just paint anyhow, you paint in a single direction so that it is smooth and it is neat. So I paint it in this particular direction like that, and I just like the effect it gave the finished cake. As in, there's this stroke effect it gave the finished cake when I placed it on this board, like that I cannot explain, but you see it when I'm done. So I painted the board brown just in the same direction until all of the board is covered. Some parts dark, some parts light. You know, this is rustic, so it doesn't have to do with any perfection. So once I was done painting the board, I set aside the board and then I moved ahead to paint the main bottom tier cake in brown with a hint of orange and then red. I didn't use the red eventually, yeah, but I used the orange just to create some effects like wood. As I'll leave you to watch this video and enjoy the tutorial, guys.
Don't mistake this feeling for love, 'cause it's not no. Yeah, I've been hurt and I ain't going back there anymore.
Can you see the board? This board is so cute. Can you see that? Can you see the way the painting stroke went? I love it. So now I move to the main cake. So usually after covering the cake, you'd have some corn flour or icing sugar, depends on what you use in rolling your fondant. In my case, I use corn flour, so I had to dust off the corn flour and then added edible spirits to my painting palette and dissolved some of my brown food color, and then I'll just paint the side of the cake in one direction like so. Just as I'm doing, I paint it in that direction and it gives me brown. One thing about this particular brown color is that it was giving me just what I wanted. Like I didn't have to really, it didn't give me one shade of brown. Yeah, it was giving me dark brown at some parts, light brown at some part. It was just so beautiful. And this color can be so deceptive. When you paint it first, it will look like it's not dark, but just give it like 1 minute or 2 minutes. Once there is a little breeze on it, it will just give you this dark brown like that. So I went all over and then I went to the top. So here I'm using the orange to just touch some parts. You know how wood effects can be with some little orangey parts here and there. I don't know if you guys can get it, but if you can see it closely, I did some orange. That's me dissolving more orange color. I just put some orange here and there, and then I have my fully covered cake. I love how this color came glossy. It looks like I steamed it. I didn't even bother to steam this cake any longer because I mean it was looking really glossy, really glossy and beautiful. So like I said, the brown food color I used gave me this light brown ink, dark brown ink, and I just added orange here and there, and I have my cake ready.
I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in love. I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in. You can have attention, don't ask to know this isn't forever. I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in love. I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in. I don't wanna fall in, I don't wanna fall in love.
That's just a closer shot to show you what the cake really looks like, right? The dark ends, the light ends, and that. So next I went ahead to flip my cake to the main board. So cake has dried a bit now, and the board for the cake has dried as well. So usually I'll just flip my cake on another board so that I can remove the board I placed underneath it. Stick with buttercream. I just apply some buttercream to my board, to my cake, and then I place the board on it, try to arrange it, and then flip it back. That's just basically it. Now that my cake is sitting on the board, next I have to derail the cake so that the second tier can come on it. So I place just a board that is the size of the second tier, almost the size, and I use it to mark where my dowel rod should stay. I place in my dowel rod, mark them so that I can cut them, mark everything. I place my dowel rods in about 2 or 3 rows or more rows depending on how big or how wide the base tier is and the top tier, right? So I mark it like that, cut all my dowels, and then I get to this point, all my dowels have been cut, and next I'm going to place the middle dowel. That's my connecting dowel. I usually place like a dowel or pipe in the middle and then add some mashed fondant, and next I'm going to lift up my top tier like so, connect back to back, front to front, and just place my top tier on the bottom tier like so. Gently remove my hand and drop it, and then I arrange it well, place it how it should be, arrange whatever I need to arrange. And next for this cake, it has a name inscription on the front. I got this my card cut out to check how it's going to be, and then next I'll cut it out in fondant and stamp it. I have a video on this channel of how to use this stamp, either on this channel or on my Instagram page. You need to check it out, but this is how to do it. I just place my stamp on my fondant and then I use my block to emboss it. So I didn't have this cutter, or I don't know where I kept it. I shall use that card to cut it out. So next I've placed my cutout on my cake, did some words. I did this alphabet, this Bible passage printouts. I did it out and I placed it on a square fondant, filled the edges, and next I'm painting the stamped initials. That's the initials of my couple. I paint that in gold, and I also paint the gold, the mold designs around it in gold as well. Paint my fondant for the Bible passage in brown. The sample didn't have the edges of that Bible passage part in gold, but I wanted something different, so I painted it in gold as well, and I attached flowers next, and my cake was ready. Pretty much that's just all about this cake. So watch and enjoy. according to the sample that was sent, the paper part was also in light brown. So I tried to do that only for me to see the Bible passage bleeding, because I used it with I made use of my Cricut machine to actually write the Bible passage instead of printing. That's in an attempt to also make it look different from the original design that was sent by the bride. And I said I was bleeding. I was like, no, I can't leave this cake. So I eventually had to write another one to place on this cake, even though Bay says that this one looks prettier, like it looks more rustic. What do you guys think? Because I couldn't leave it like that though. I had to just print another one and place it. So these are the flowers, white flowers, and these leaves, and I just attached them to the cake like this. And this is the finished cake. This is what it looks like at first. I did this video. And can you see the bleeding letters? Like, I was like, they won't be able to read this thing very, very nice. Bleeding is not okay. I was not okay with it. And one thing about me, if I'm making a cake, it has to be okay, like completely okay. If I'm not satisfied with it, I will never send it out. That is it. I will never be able to send it out. So I was like, let me quickly write another one. So I wrote another one and I placed it on it, and I got this, and I'm like, oh, this is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about. Beauty on 100. Like, I didn't want it to get to the bed and they will start complaining and I'll have to be explaining. I just did this and it was beautiful. It was looking clean and pretty. What do you guys think? The other rustic one or this one? Let me know. And then I packed my cake with a ribbon and off it went. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do not hesitate to give me a thumb up for this video. Make sure to share this video with somebody that may find it useful. Guys, if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I do not even know what you're waiting for. Hit the subscribe button right away, turn on notification bell, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.